The funny thing about this fund, madam, the Economic Stabilization Fund, there is no legislation governing it. The finance minister's justification is, and I quote her, in anticipation of what cannot be anticipated, we are coming up with the Economic Stabilization Fund. Madam, interestingly, this Economic Stabilization Fund in this bill of 1 crore reminds me of the dubious PM Cares Fund that was created during the COVID pandemic. With this bill, the government is asking for 4.13 lakh crores in supplementary demands. Madam, this means that the government's own budget, which they presented last year, was off by nearly 8% of the total expenditure. 8% off. That's what they're asking in the supplementary demand. This bill is an extraordinary admission that the finance minister either cannot forecast expenditure or the budget presented to Parliament was a deliberate fiction. In this supplementary demands, they have claimed that there are savings of 80,000 crores from various ministries that fund the technical supplementary means that those ministries couldn't spend in their allocated budgets. Madam, the fundamental rule of governance is that savings in government spending is not efficiency. Rather, it shows a failure to implement. The government is not a corporate that is supposed to say at the end of the year that, look, this is how much money we have saved. At the end of the day, people pay taxes to the government to fund expenditure. When the government claims to save money, it means that it is collecting more tax from people than it is spending on people's welfare. Every rupee saved, as it is claimed in this appropriation bill, means there is a road that has not been built, a weapon that has not been procured, a hospital that has not been funded. The government cut 1 lakh crores from the actual budget, from the budget estimate to the revised estimate, and then they congratulate themselves for maintaining the fiscal deficit. Madam, let's start with the Economic Stabilization Fund. So in this bill, the government has created a rupees 1 lakh crore Economic Stabilization Fund through a simple inter-account transfer under the Department of Economic Affairs. The funny thing about this fund, madam, the Economic Stabilization Fund, there is no legislation governing it. There are no rules on when it can be drawn, by whom or for what purpose. There is no oversight mechanism from Parliament for this Economic Stabilization Fund of 1 lakh crore rupees. The finance minister's justification is, and I quote her, in anticipation of what cannot be anticipated, we are coming up with the Economic Stabilization Fund. What cannot be anticipated means the finance minister, instead of saying it directly, is saying that the West Asia-Iran conflict caught the government unprepared, 11 years in power, but they did not anticipate this. Now some questions that I hope the finance minister will address about the Economic Stabilization Fund. What is the legal framework governing this fund? Under what statute was it created? Who decides when and how the fund is deployed? The other question, madam, is how different is this fund from the existing contingency fund of India, which has 30,000 crore rupees, and that is actually meant for emergency spending. So why are you creating a parallel fund here? This fund has no legislation, no parliamentary oversight. This is the government writing a blank check for itself. Madam, interestingly, this Economic Stabilization Fund in this bill of 1 crore reminds me of the dubious PM Cares Fund that was created during the COVID pandemic. Roughly about 32,000 crores were collected from the people, and then when it was time for this fund to start giving an account, the government surprisingly claimed in the court that this is a private fund. This is a fund that uses the national emblem of India, is in the Prime Minister's name, but when it came time to disclose their expenditure, they said it's a private fund. Recently, the PMO apparently even issued a circular to Parliament saying that questions by even MPs on the PM Cares Fund will not be tolerated. So this government is an expert at creating non-transparent funds, opaque funds whose activities are hidden from the public. The question is this Economic Stabilization Fund of 1 lakh crore going to become another PM Cares Fund with no oversight and no accountability? Madam, the impact of the West Asia-Iran crisis can be seen in this appropriation bill. Today, just so that people know the facts, crude oil is at $119 a barrel. The government's fertilizer subsidy bill has gone up by 27% in this bill, because fertilizers require a lot of imports that come from the Middle Eastern countries. There is an LPG shortage across the country. Let's at least finally call a spade a spade. The rupee has fallen to a historic low of 92 rupees per dollar. Remember, we are an import-dependent nation. We import our oil, and now the rupee has fallen to the lowest ever, which is 92.